Hi there and welcome back to this knitting channel. My name is Lisa. This is LiseLight, and this is a channel where I share everything knitting and creative that I'm working on. I'm a knitter based in Copenhagen, and today is going to be a regular podcast episode where I'm going to share with you not too many things, but then again, I do have a couple of interesting stuff to share with you today. Among those, a gem of a little store that I found here in Copenhagen. So if you're planning on visiting the city, this is definitely one that you shouldn't miss out on if you're looking for accessories for your knitting, is what I would call it. So let's just dive into it. And actually, two things before we do. First of all, I want to ask you if you want to subscribe to the channel. It seems a little silly to ask for this every time, but it does really help me out. And if you're watching the channel regularly, it'll mean a lot to me if you want to subscribe as well. So thank you so much if you want to do that. And also, let's not forget word of the day. The Danish word or expression of the day is opskrift. It means it's when you do a knitting pattern. It could also mean a recipe. If you are looking at food, it would also be called the same thing. So opskrift. So it's a word divided in two, and when we say it fast, opskrift. So if you meet that word when you're looking at Danish knitting designers, it just means pattern. Let's just get into the regular podcast episode. Let's start with what I'm wearing, because this is my only finished object that I have to that I want to share with you today. It's the Amesbury Cardigan that I've finished. I posted how I was playing yarn chicken. I thought I was seriously playing yarn chicken. It turned out I think I had about I didn't weigh it, but I'm thinking something around the lines of 20 grams left, which I don't find like a lot. And let me know in the comments if you're like me, but this is ridiculous, but sometimes even before I start a project, I sometimes feel like that's not going to be enough. I don't know what that is. It probably says something. There's something hidden in that. I think I tend to be the person who buys one more skein than what it says in the pattern. I usually have leftovers of the different things that I'm doing. I don't know if it's just me. Let me know if you know this feeling, if you do the same. It actually annoys me a little bit because 20 grams is fine. That's actually pretty perfect because I don't feel like I've wasted anything. I used 400 grams of this. And this cardigan is knit in a yarn. It's actually a free cardigan, believe it or not. Or actually, that's not true. But, I bought some yarn for another project I'm going to share the progress on. And in the process, it was one of those deals where when you buy a certain amount, you get a free kit sent to you. And it was a kit for a short sleeve, t-shirt type thing. But it looked kind of funny to me. It's actually a pretty cute pattern, but it's I thought the yarn would be too warm for something with the short sleeves. I mean, I'm all for the light woolen t-shirt type things, but this one I felt like was too heavy, and I'm glad I didn't do that because as at the moment I'm trying to wear it just for the video, but I may have to give up and just take it off because it's actually really hot. It consists of 50% wool and 50% polyester. It's usually not, and I don't mean to be a yarn snob, but I don't do very well with acrylics and polyesters and that type of thing. But I have to say that the stitch definition, maybe you can see it, is beautiful in this yarn. It was so pleasant and easy to work with. I didn't have any of the, you sort of plasticky feel you can have sometimes. if you asked me if I did, oh my goodness, we have some nutcase outside honking his horn in on a regular basis. Very annoying. Sorry about that. Anyways, if I didn't know better, I would think that this was 100% wool, and that surprises me because usually I feel like you can feel it, but this definitely seems, and it seems very warm. I did the whole thing. I insert. You can see on the photos. I'm trying to model it for you. It's relatively short, which I like. I think it's a flattering length for me. I did the sleeves just a tiny bit longer. I usually always have to do that. I have pretty long arms. I have very long legs, very long arms, short torso. So usually the length. Sometimes I even make it shorter than the pattern says, but I almost always have to extend the sleeves, which I did. And I feel like they're the perfect length. It's, I think, a cardigan that I'm going to use a lot, like I think all year, because it's a great piece to layering piece in the summer and spring. And I think it's going to be so good for, as you know, maybe just closed up to like here, and then, you know, with the top or nothing under it, it's going to be fine. And I'm not very sensitive. It is a little bit scratchy, but I'm not sensitive, so I don't mind it straight on my body. The only thing, if I got too warm in it, I think that would make me flip out. Basically, that's my tolerance for scratchiness, is if I get too hot in a piece of knit, I don't really like that feeling. But that's regardless of the material, I feel like. So what to say about the pattern? Yeah, this is my first time doing a double knitted button band, and I'm actually really proud of myself. I think I did well. I thought it was a great process. I liked it. People talk about it as endless. I do see how you could get a little sick of it, but I felt like in this yarn, it went by pretty fast. So the main body is knit on 4mm needles. The ribbing at the sleeves and on the bottom of the piece is knitted in 3.5mm, and then the neckline ribbing at the neck and the double knitted button band is knit on 3mm needles. And even though it's a 3mm, I felt like it went by pretty fast. And there was something fascinating about just seeing it work up, and magically it just looks so polished and so great. So this is the type of cardigan I've been dreaming about, making one of these types with the round neck and the double knitted button band for so much time. It's actually one of you who saw my videos who suggested this pattern, and I'm so happy you did. I can't remember which one of you, but I'm so happy you did, because I felt like this was the perfect pattern to go into. The thing about this, if I can find the footage, I'll insert it on the screen. I don't think I've ever knitted a piece that had more ends to weave in, considering that the skeins are 100 grams each. So it was 4 skeins. So it wasn't because I had to do, you know, like sometimes you have to get a new ball of yarn, and that also makes a lot of ends to weave in. Also, this, I believe, and let me know if I'm wrong about this, but I have this idea that you cannot do spit splicing when there's when it's not 100% wool. I believe that's what I've heard, and I didn't even try it. I didn't want to risk that it would come undone. So I didn't do that. But I think the main reason why you have so many ends is the pattern constantly tells you to, not constantly, but a lot of times when you do the different details, cut the yarn, move the stitches, start from here, cut the yarn, da 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 da. So I mean, it was insane. I don't mind weaving in ends, but it was a lot. And I've seen other people commenting the same. And I I mean, it's okay because I think it makes sense why you do it. And I think it's a beautiful pattern. I think the details are great. You start out with the piece here on the back, and you go across, and then you leave some stitches on hold that you continue down the sleeve. So it looks so polished and seamless. And then you pick up stitches here and go down. Same thing here, and go down, and then you connect it and you go back and forth on the body. Then you do the button. Well, I did the button band before I did the sleeves. Somebody recommended do that before because you might be able to, if you run out of yarn, you might be able to live with slightly shorter sleeves, but you can't really not do the whole button band. And also, I think for it's funny because I saw somebody commenting. It's interesting how basically all patterns will tell you more or less to do the body, then do the sleeves, and then do the finishing touches. Like if you didn't start with the neckline, do that in the end. And it does make sense that when you've done the body to finish up the neckline and this piece, because I feel like it's very difficult to predict the length of the sleeves. I've sometimes messed up on making the sleeves too short or too long because I've tried to envision what it would look like. And also the neckline, if you don't have the neckline, it can be sometimes hard to predict how long the piece is going to be, because if it's a wide neckline that cinches in, it may actually make it so much shorter. So it would make sense that patterns started doing it in that order. I don't know why they don't tell you that, because it's like it's something you find out with experience. And I don't think I'm the only one. And in the beginning, I didn't do it because I just followed the patterns. Now I almost always do the neckline fairly quickly when I want to try it on, because it makes it easier. And I think the same thing with the button band. It makes it easier to predict whether, how long your sleeves are going to be. But let me know if it's just me. But I feel like that's something to consider. Then what else? Oh, yeah, I did. I opted for the Danish was, excuse me, that was not English. The pattern was available in multiple languages. And because it was available in Danish, I chose that one. I think, and I'm in contact with the designer. I love that she answered back to me really quickly. I think I found a mistake in the Danish pattern. It seemed like when you do the edging, you do the 2 setup rows for a tubular bind off. So you do 2 rows, and it seemed like to me that they were switched around. So one of them was, you do the 1 setup row and on the sleeves where you're going in the round, and then on the second round, it's set to start with pearl, which doesn't make sense because it is a knit that you start with, whereas when it came to the neckline, it said the opposite. So if I feel like those 2 had been switched around, and it created a little bit of confusion, because when I did the bind off for the sleeves, I tried to follow what it said, and it looked terrible. I did the 2 rounds, and then I started my bind off, and it just looked horrible because I had basically, following the pattern, it meant that I had the yarn in front. I would slip a knit stitch and have the yarn in front, which just made the bind off look really, really awful. So fortunately, I only got this far, and I looked at it and thought, this looks so messy. So I went back, watch a couple of videos online to see what other people do, and then I did the exact opposite. I slipped the knit stitches with the yarn behind, did the pearl, the slip and the yarn behind, and so forth, and that made it look beautiful when I did the bind off. So I don't know if it's me or if it was in the pattern. But anyways, that's the only thing I did a little different, and also the exact same thing, just opposite on the neckband. It didn't seem logical, so I went with what I felt like was the right choice, and it made it look beautiful. I am a little bit worried whether this is going to stretch out. I don't. I think it'll hold up. It's not. It's pretty. It's just a good fabric. This yarn produced. I feel like it's definitely. I think it worked out great. It's this beautiful green color that goes with my complexion, my coloring, and eyes and whatnot. And I think it's going to be a piece that I'm going to use a ton. So. I might go for this pattern again in a completely different color, because I thought it was a dream to knit up. I felt it worked out really great. I could see myself knitting it in something softer, in a different color. So it would be a very different look to it. But it's such a classic and just such an easy piece to wear. And then for the buttons, I don't know if you can see, but there, I think I made a video where I called it ivory, which is crazy because, of course, that's not what it is. It's mother of pearl, and it has this sheen in it. It's, it kind of shifts coloring, and it has a little bit of green in it. Also on the back, it's actually also beautiful. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe it's difficult to see. I'll try to see if I can insert some photos of the or a little clip where I hold up. I have an extra button that I bought. So two things about the buttons. First of all, I found the most exciting little store where I found the buttons. And I don't even know why I didn't know this store existed, but it's a store. I have clips of me going into the store because it was just like walking into this magic space. I'm somebody who also sews, so that's probably where half of the excitement came from, because it's one of those. It's, first of all, it's been around since 1929, I think, or 28. Which is insane in itself. That's a long time for a store. And they actually told me in the store, because I asked for permission to film in there, which they were very happy that I asked them. They have, all these different, what do you call it? Like bands? What do you call that thing that you sew onto fabric? All these, that you buy per meter. And they told me that some of them are actually that old. And they have just a little bit left of some of the very old things in there. So when they're gone, they're gone. So you can find some gems. And then they had a whole wall of buttons, like a whole wall of buttons that you buy, just one by one, the amount that you need. And these buttons that I bought, which is mother of pearl, they cost me 10 kroners per piece, which is less than $2 per button, which is definitely not expensive. And the fact that I could buy the exact amount that I need is wonderful, because I don't know how it is where you live, but here in Denmark, it's more and more like if you buy buttons, you have to buy a certain amount in a little package. Or also the different, if you want something to, like one of those, I don't know why I can't remember what it's called, but if you want a little like lace type thing that you sew around a collar of a blouse, you can only buy it in certain amounts, and you have very limited amount of colors and that sort of stuff. So to find it in here that was just crazy. That was just amazing. I was really, really, really happy with that. So anyways, I'll show you the footage of me going in there with a little bit of commentary to it. And then I'll be back with more details on the button. So this is the store. I popped on the address on the screen. It's close to, it's in the center of the city. So this is where you see the magic happening. Look at all these colors, and you buy them per meter, And there's so many colors to choose from, and there are a range in color schemes, so it's easy to go to the section instead of it being a whole big mess. So I mean, look at that. And then they had a whole bunch of buttons, and look at all the zippers. In I didn't even look at that, but holy moly, there were so many in so many colors that that's a place I'm gonna go. Different types of ribbon type thing, and more and more and more of the same thing. And then look at this. This was a wall with buttons. So many buttons, so much to choose from. I really think that it's going to be difficult not to find exactly what you're looking for in here. So yeah, just endless possibilities. But I was going straight for the mother of pearl, which is what I was after. So, but also a lot of other green options that I thought were really pretty. And then I thought it was fun at the counter. They had some vintage buttons, really old buttons that you could choose from, and also some vintage sewing accessories, needles, and that sort of stuff. So this again is a button that I chose. I was going back and forth on which side to turn outward, but I decided on the mother of pearl side. Yeah, so isn't that exciting? I mean, I'm just, very excited about this store. It's definitely one that I'm going to visit for future button endeavors. And just the fact that you had so much choice, and I could match it up, and I made my decision really fast because I had in my mind that I wanted mother of pearl buttons for it. I think the feminine touch that's a little more refined on this more rustic type cardigan. I feel like that's a beautiful way of doing the button band. And then also when it comes to button bands and buttons specifically, I have noticed that a lot of people are struggling with making the buttons sit well when you have sort of like in this instance, you have a thick button band, and the button tends to sometimes, if you sew it on too tightly, you end up with a button that's pulling, so you will have this piece that I can't even, but you probably know what I mean, that it pulls, because you need to have a certain distance between the button and the button band. And I have a little trick for that, that I've learned many years ago, and I'll just insert a little bit of footage where I explain how that works. Maybe you can use it, maybe you already know the trick, but I just want to insert it so you can see for yourself how that's pretty easy to fix. So here we go. So the thing to keep in mind when you want to sew on your buttons is sort of first of all, the placement. Of course, I've just marked the first button with a little pin. But actually, this can come in handy, because what you want to look at is if you just sew on the button like this and just have it sitting flat, it needs to go through this whole thick material and then rest on top. So it'll drag and make the whole thing look kind of weird. It'll, pull on it and look funny. And in this case, because it's a double knitted button band, it's actually quite thick. Trick that I learned a long time ago is, well, usually how I do it when I sew on my buttons, I'll just show you with my fingers. I'll hold the button between my fingers and then rest it like just a tiny bit above the fabric. Then I'll sew it on and just keep resting it so I have this distance apart. And then when I've gone up and down like 5 times or so, I will go down the hole, and then I'll go around the thread and actually loop it a couple of times around, and then I'll tie it off, because that gives it a little stem that gives it a good distance. But this is actually, so far, and this is like a helping tool. It's just a matchstick, and what you do is you place it. Then you want to decide, do you want your buttonholes to go up and down or sideways? That's just a matter of preference. I think I want to have them go up and down, and then I'll place the match under it, and then I'll simply sew around it, because that makes sure that I get the right distance. And when I've gone up and down and up and down 5-6 times, I'll slide the match out, and then I'll go around the stem and then tie it off. Cool. I don't think I have any more comments on the cardigan other than I love it. I think it's a great pattern. It's a classic piece that I'm going to enjoy and use a lot. So, and the fact that I actually in principle didn't pay anything for the yarn is pretty amazing, that it took the time to knit it. But it was, a bonus on top of other yarn that I bought. So I thought that was pretty freaking cool. So very happy about that. So anyways, work in progress is the tee in now it's time to put on the sunglasses again. The tee that I'm knitting, let's see, this is the front. It looks almost the same, but this is the tee, the summer tee that's knit in viscose. I've finished the back or front piece are actually the same. I'm a little interested in seeing whether it's going to feel like it's tight up here when it's knit this way, because there isn't any short rows or anything like that. So I'm a little, we'll see. I think I just need to make the neckline wide enough that it doesn't bother me. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm on the other piece, and it's moving fast. It's on 4mm needles. Is it 4? It even looks like more. Yeah, it's 4. It's moving pretty fast. So I'm at the stage. I think this whole piece, I knit that up in, I don't know, it was fast. What I opted to do that it doesn't say in the pattern is it ends up, you're pretty much left on your own with this pattern. It just recommends to you and shows you how to do the different patterns. You can see how there are different structure. It's knits and purls in different variations. Looks pretty cool. I'll put my hand up so you can see what it looks like. And I could see on the photos that it looks like it ends up with some garter stitches on top, but doesn't really tell you when you want to do that. So what I did was basically when there was about a little under 2 centimeters left before I needed to bind off, I just opted to go down half a needle size, the same as you do the ribbing, and do the garter stitches on top, so that I have a little more of a solid edge to work with, so it didn't become way too loose and stretchy up here. I don't know if this was a good idea or not. Now I'm a little bit debating whether that's a good idea. I think it is, because I think this yarn is going to stretch like crazy. So what you do in the end is you sew it up, and on the shoulder seams and on the sides, and then you pick up stitches and you do a little bit of ribbing around the arms. So you did a little bit of decreases here, a little bit of increases on top, so you have a little bit of shaping of the armhole, and that's about it. So very simple concept. I'm thinking, I'm hoping that it'll work out great. I mean, it's always difficult when you do knits in pieces. It's going to be a surprise when you finish it up, whether it looks good or not. You have basically no way of knowing. But I figured, I think it's going to be a good summer top no matter what. It seems like there wasn't any big risk, and it's not a crazy time-consuming project. So I feel like that's pretty good. I will have some yarn left over, so I'm thinking what to do with it, because it's a little bit of a wild color that I feel like is difficult to combine with other stuff. So I don't really know how I'm going to do that. But I'm hoping to finish this up fairly quickly, because actually, I'm going on a trip in the beginning of June with a very, very dear friend from the States who's going to visit me, and we're going to go to southern France together. And in fact, if some of you know of good yarn places I need to visit when I'm there, please let me know. I'm mainly going to be around the area of Aix-en-Provence, where we're going to stay at a hotel, and then we're going to do little road trips out to Avignon, the different other places in the area. So if there are any yarn stores or anything that you feel like I definitely should visit, please let me know. I would really appreciate that. But I feel like going down there, it's probably already going to be warm at that time, or at least I'm hoping. So I think finishing this up for that trip will be pretty awesome. So that's my goal. Yeah, so that's moving along. Then I have my socks. They haven't moved anywhere. I'm so over these that this is the first time in my recent knitting career that I was at the verge of just leaving a project. I mean, I even stopped in the middle of a row. This is ridiculous. I don't feel like finishing it. I think my screw up was basically, and I think several of you pinpointed the problem. It's this one is tighter than this one because I got new needles, and somebody mentioned how if you measure like nimble needles, is that what it's called? He has some great videos. He actually did a video at some point. I don't think I saw it, where he measures the circumference of different knitting needles that are supposed to be the same size, and there is a variation. It's tiny, but still enough to be noticeable when you knit stuff like this. So this one has to be knitted longer to be the same length as this. And I guess it's not a big deal, but I don't know what it is. I think it's also because the yarn isn't that pleasant to work with. And in some places it looks dirty, even though it's not. It's like it's got this dark core sheen to it that I don't really like. So I know it's silly because I'm this far, but I'm kind of debating with myself whether I really want to finish it. I mean, are they even going to be great to wear? I'm not sure. So yeah, that's a debate going on. So at the moment, they're just lying next to my computer, just laughing at me, and I don't know exactly what I want to do with them. So I'd rather knit a different pair of socks. I bought some beautiful yarn when I did my Tombow tee that I shared with you in my last episode. I bought some yarn, some reclaimed merino that I think will be beautiful for just simple socks that I want to do. And I'm actually considering just doing those, maybe getting back to this at a later point, because right now I'm over it, that's for sure. So we'll see what happens with that. Other than that, for upcoming plans, this is the first time in a long time that I don't have a complete set plan. I think the agave t-shirt might be the next project, or I also talked about how I have some yarn left over from botched Lola top from Kiki. I don't know why it's always so difficult for me. Kutavakika, I think that's the name. Beautiful top that I made way too big. I think I messed up big time on the yarn. It is unraveled, but it's unraveled double. And I think I need to separate all those and organize the yarn, find out how much I actually have, and then do swatches either for the Lola top again, because I kind of liked it. So let's see if I could make it right and make sure the gauge is right, because I didn't do a decent swatch for it. It was just a mess. Or if that doesn't work out, maybe do something else with it. So I'm dancing a little bit around that, because it seems kind of boring to unwind all this yarn and wind it again. But I think it has to be done, because it's nice yarn. That cotton yarn, mandarin from Senna's yarn, is so soft and nice that it's kind of a pity to just not do anything with it. And the color combination I had with cream and green was so beautiful. But I'll share that with you if I get to that point. So at the moment, when I'm done with this, I don't have anything going on really, which is weird. But I think definitely it might be more summer tops. I've actually been excited about the Tombow tea. I'm excited about having this. And then I gave myself a birthday present because it's my birthday in a couple of weeks. And I bought the new book from that's called Summer Knits from Sari Nordlund. And it's full of, let's see, can we focus maybe on this? Maybe not. Okay. So it's full of different patterns. And it's one of the first patterns that I actually looked at. Look at this. Wouldn't this be a pretty summer top? I mean, that's just, that's right up my alley. It's got the lace in the front. I think it has a solid stockinette back. Yes, it does. See, here it is in a light version. I don't think I have yarn for it, but then again, I want to do a look in my stash just to find out whether I could scrounge up enough yarn of some kind to do it, because I think it's so pretty. And then there was actually another one too, like this one, Pomona. It's I don't know if you could see it right on the it's a little bright on the photo. Let me see if it's a yellow top, so it's a little difficult to see it. It's got a V-neck, double knitted button band, or not button band, double knitted edge in the front that goes down to a V, one of those V's that cross over, and then it has the same double knitted band around. You can actually see the drawing of it here. Is probably easier to see. So I think it's really pretty. And that could be just a wonderful, simple top. This one is a little short. I might make it a little longer. Oh, here is a better picture, I believe. Let's see. See, here is, sorry, I keep hitting the microphone. You can see how the beautiful pattern, fairly simple, but still interesting enough that there's stuff going on. Looks like sort of, could you call it broken, what do you call it, cables, kind of, is beautiful. But it's, I mean, this book has so many patterns. What it does, though, that doesn't really suit me so well, it has all these beautiful tops with very, very thin, you can't see it, I think, with very thin straps. And that's, again, the problem that I have. I did a video where I share bra-friendly summer tops that, sorry, that these, I think, tend to be a little too flimsy with the very thin straps that I don't like that much, because it makes it so visible with the bra. Not that it's a big crime, but I feel like that doesn't look that great. But look at how pretty it's both. You can both get it as, it won't focus. I don't know why. Maybe if I pop my head out. It's got the, there is a dress version of it and a top version of it. It's so pretty. But there are quite a few patterns that I feel like are very good contenders for, great summer tops. Let me see. There was one more with a lot of lace. Let me see if I can find it for you. Yeah, this one. Let me see if I can. I think the dark version here, you can maybe see. It's definitely a pretty. It's a simple top, but pretty, with a lot of the patterns that Sari is known for. You can see here are two more pictures of it that I feel like are so pretty. So I think this book is going to be my next. Oh yeah, and look at this one with where the sleeves are with pattern, but it's a stockinette t-shirt with lace on the sleeves. It's such a simple, it's a raglan. It's such a simple concept, but just so pretty. And I kind of like that, the subtle details that just, like this is not subtle details, this is a lot. But I think that could look so pretty for some summer garments. And the silk that I use for my Tombow tee, I liked a lot. I did notice though, on my t-shirt, a couple of places you got to be careful because the yarn it has a tendency to split if you don't watch out. And that definitely compromises the sturdiness of it because I could see a couple of places where I accidentally did that. And only noticed afterwards. So in fact, I actually went back and did, I don't know what it's called, but where you repair it as if you do stitches on top, the same way you would if you were embroidering on top of a knit piece and you want to make it look like you knit the pattern. It's called something and I can't remember the word, so I apologize for that. But I did that to just reinforce it. But I think that the trick is not to use too pointy needles for it, is an advice I got, that if you maybe for that particular project use some of your more blunt needles instead of the very pointy ones, you will get a better result. So I think that makes a lot of sense. But that yarn was definitely a decent price. So I might invest in more of that because it's so pleasant and soft and nice. So I think that could be a great yarn for a t-shirt of from Sari's book. So yeah, that's what I have going on for today. I don't have anything else to share with you. It's all funny not to have a lot of ongoing stuff, but it's also kind of nice to have my plate free to go with whatever I feel like. I have some wool projects, but I don't want to start them right now. It's going to be later in the summer because right now it's warming up, and just the thought of sitting with a big piece of wool on my lap is just not working out for me right now. So I think I'm going to wait on that, but I have some great projects for the fall that are ready to go, but we'll get there when we get there. So before I leave you, again, please subscribe if you're not already. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know. Let me know what you're working on. I love our little community here so much. So I hope that you will, join in and tell me what's going on in your life. So with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day and take care until the next video.